All right, hello. Welcome back to the next broadcast in the SEDA College Online Intermediate Lessons. Thank you all for coming to watch my lessons. I know many people are coming back each day to see my classes. I really appreciate that, and so I just want to say thank you for everyone who continues to watch my lessons. And of course, if you're new here, if this is the first time you're watching one of my lessons, thank you so much and welcome. So, just so I can say, my name is Austin, um, and so we have a very wonderful lesson laid out today. We're going to be talking a lot about reported speech. And I'm very excited for this topic because it's something that you will use almost every day. It's something you need to use. It's one of those, you know, fundamental properties of the language so that you can tell others what you're talking about. So I hope you're ready. I hope you're comfortable. Your laptop or phone is good. You have pencil, paper, whatever you need, because we're about to get started. So as I said, the lesson today is reported speech. That's really the big thing we're going to talk about today and spend most of our time talking about that reported speech. And then after that, we're going to do a little bit of vocabulary, and I'm just going to show some common words that you see in relation to shopping and talk a bit about them so you can have the kind of the correct context and the correct idea for these words. I know it's only two things. It looks very little, but I promise you we're going to go into detail for these. So I hope by the end of this you can understand everything about these two topics. All right, so let's get going. We'll start with the grammar, reported speech. So reported speech, well, what is it? The meaning? Well, it's in the name. It's in the name here. It's to report or to tell someone what another person has said, usually at a much later time. So that's the whole idea for reported speech. It's for you to talk to someone, hear what they say, and then tell someone else what you heard. You're reporting it, like a news anchor or a TV person. The key idea here is usually it's at a much later date. Usually, it's a few hours later, different time, different location. So that's why there are changes because we're changing time and location. So of course, when do we usually use this? Well, it's gossip, of course. That's why this is so important. I know you need to gossip in English. You need to. So now you can with reported speech. So how do we make it? Well, the changes happen over a couple steps. So the first thing you do is you take the sentence. So you hear a sentence from your friend, and now you want to take this sentence and tell someone else. Well, the first thing we need to do is add the verb say or tell. I mean, that's clear. You need to say who said it. He said it. And we usually do that in the past tense because, as I said, this is a later time. This is a few hours later. So this person, they are gone. They are no longer here, and you're telling someone later. The next thing you do is you take the sentence that they said and you change the grammar. The best idea I can say for this is you take the sentence and you move it one step back into the past. So what do I mean by that? Well, if they say a present tense sentence, you will report as past tense. If they say a present perfect sentence, you'll report as past perfect. Or if they say a past tense sentence, you'll report it as a past perfect sentence. So that's kind of what I mean by one step back. You're taking what they say and you're moving it that one step back into the past. And that change is how we show that we are reporting. That kind of change in the verb tense and the grammar is very essential for the report to be correct. So I'm going to show some examples of that, and I have 3 sentences here. So over here, I have the direct speech. That's the official grammar word for this, direct speech. This is what the person said. This is what my friend here said. And then over here, I have the report. This is what I say to someone else. So if we look at this first sentence, I like traveling, well, we have a present sentence. So my friend is here. He says, oh, hi, Austin. I like traveling. Okay. So I go to my friend then, and I say, oh, yeah, he said he liked traveling. So I should say, yeah, that should be ed. Sorry, that's just a mistake on my part. He liked, L-I-K-E-D. He liked traveling. So now I take it and I move it one step into the past. Or if my friend says this present perfect sentence. So, oh, hi, Austin. I have eaten lunch today. I say, oh, okay, great. He said he had eaten lunch today. And so now I've changed this present perfect to the past perfect. He had eaten. Or if we look at the third example, a past tense sentence, my friend says, oh, yeah, yesterday I went dancing last night. So I turn to my friend, maybe the next hour, or I am now at home and I am talking to my spouse. I say, oh, yeah, he said he had gone dancing last night. And we take that past and we move it to the past perfect. So that's what I mean by this change, is you take the sentence that they say and then you move it one to the back. So the present to the past. As I said, this is a mistake. It should be past tense. The present perfect to the past perfect, or the past to the past perfect. So we're just moving back. And essentially, that's everything. That is reported speech. You add the person, the verb say in the past tense, so said, and then the sentence, and then you move it back. Of course, you also have to change the pronoun here. So, you have to change I to he, or you can use the name, John said that he likes traveling, so you can use the person's name here as well. But you have to make those changes, and then you're done. Of course, though, it's not that simple. So I have a few other things to talk about. So some additional notes. Sometimes the verb tense stays the same if you are reporting very soon after what the sentence said. So these examples were, hours later. I talked to my friend here, and then maybe that evening, hours later, the next day, I am reporting. So it's a different time and a different location. But this explains my mistake right here, because sometimes you can keep things exactly the same. And you do this if it's very soon. So I want you to imagine this situation. Your friend is trying to talk to another person in a different room, but the friend isn't loud enough. The other person cannot hear, You're shouting to your friend. Your friend is shouting, hey, I'm taking out the garbage. The other person says, what? What? I didn't hear you. And then you maybe you are very loud. You're very big. Oh, you can shout. So you said, he said he's taking out the garbage. And so you shout it. This is a situation where we will keep it the same. The only thing we change are pronouns. So I becomes he. But the verb is the same. Present continuous, am taking. Present continuous is taking. And this is because, it's all right now. The person is here. We are together, and I am, just saying directly. So I don't change. But that's a very specific circumstance. And only in this situation, this is possible. This is the only time this is possible. All other times it will happen the original way, where we go back in time. That is the more normal. But I just wanted to show you this situation so that this is possible. You can keep it the same if it's very, very soon when you report. All right. Of course, I have additional notes. So also, if your reported speech has time phrases or a location phrase, then you have to change those as well, because usually you report speech at a different time and in a different location. So you have to think about changing the time and the location correctly. So, if these are examples, there are much more than this, but, it's just about logic. You have to think about what is the correct way to make the change. So, for example, if the reported speech has tomorrow in the original, the direct thing, if your friend said tomorrow, you would then report the next day. If your friend used the word here, and then you report, you would say there, because, it's a different time, a different location. Or if your friend says this, and then hours later, you would then say that, because, again, different time, different location. So you just have to be careful with this to remember that when you report a speech, or when you report speech, not only does the time change, but also the location will change, and you need to adjust and change to match that. So here's just an example. Here's the direct speech. This is what my friend said. I'll meet you at the pub at 8 p.m. tomorrow. And then maybe a few days later, a colleague, a coworker says, oh, what did you do on Monday? I said, oh, well, I met up with John. He told me he would meet me at the pub the next day. So Tuesday, we went to the pub. Sorry, there we go. The next day. So we can see that change from tomorrow to the next day. And I can change the sentence. I can say here. So I can say, I'll meet you at the pub at 8 p.m. here at the bar. So I use the word here. So then in number 2, I would say, he told me he would meet me at the pub there at the bar. So, you just always have to remember what you take the direct and you change everything for the report. Even those logical things like time and place, those also must change so that you are using the correct location and the correct time. Okay, there's more. So now we need to talk about questions. So those were all statements. And all of the rules about time and place still apply for questions, but we need to do something a little different. So we still change the verb tense, just like the statements before. We still move one step back into the past. But now we use the verb ask. So instead of saying say or instead of saying tell, we use the verb ask. And in addition to that, we add if or whether. And we do this when the original direct speech doesn't have a WH word. So those are the two differences. So for a statement, you will use say or tell. But for a question, you will report with ask and if or whether. So I'll show an example without a question word to match these rules. So here is my direct question. Are you hungry? So, my friend turns to me. Are you hungry? A few hours later, I go, oh yeah, she asked me if I was hungry. And so there, because the question does not have a WH word, so I must add something, if I was hungry. And then I change as well the order of the subject and the verb. So here we have a switch, in a question we always have the switch I'm talking about. Well, when we report it, we undo it. So in the report, it will be subject-verb order, because now I have made an if-dependent clause. And because I have an if-dependent clause, we just use the normal word order subject-verb. You can also do something. Let's take it past tense. My friend. Oh, did you see your friend? He told me, or he asked, whether I saw my friend or not. And so you can use whether as well, and the same rules apply. Whether I saw, so now we have subject verb. Really, there's no different. If you use whether, it is very often that we will say or not, and that's just because whether is a word and it implies choice, whether I can do this or whether I can do that. So we will say this or not. But I can say if. He asked if I saw my friend or not. So, whether, if, no difference. But just remember, you may hear or not, and it's just kind of a logic addition. There is no grammar reason. And so that's how we do it without a question word. You use your ask, you add ask in the past tense, and then we add if or whether to complete the report. But what do we do if we have a question word? We have one of these WH words, where, when, why, what, or even how. So what do we do? Well, it's a little different. So maybe my friend asks, oh, where did you go to university? And so I tell later, oh, they asked where I had gone to university. So now we don't change anything. We just take it exactly the same. So, where did you go becomes where I had gone. So we keep the question word. We don't add if. We don't change that. But we do fix the subject auxiliary. We still undo that, but we don't have to add if in this example. Or you could say, what countries have you visited? It's another question you could ask. Well, the report for that is he asked what countries I had visited. So always in this dependent clause, you will have subject verb. We won't do the change, and we will undo it from the original question, from the direct speech here. We'll undo that question. So really the biggest difference is if you don't have a question word, if not, add if or whether. If you do have a question word, don't add it, but still undo and move one step into the past. Those are the orders to make this. Okay, so I have one more thing to talk about with reported speech. I know you thought, oh, this will be quick, this will be easy. No, there's lots of information with reported speech. It has many, many different small things to think about. The next is just some grammar about say and tell. Be very careful with say and tell, because say is an intransitive verb, meaning that you cannot put a pronoun after, whereas tell is a transitive verb and you must have a pronoun after. So what do I mean? Well, sentences look like this. He said that he walked to the store. No pronoun. He said that he walked to the store. Or he told me that he walked to the store. We must have a pronoun here. You must tell somebody. It's just a rule. Whereas for say or said, it's just I say, he say, she say, said. That's it. Whereas this is he told me, he told her, he told you. You must have a pronoun here. So just be careful with that. Additionally, this here is in parentheses because that is optional for these sentences. You can use it if it is helpful, or you can remove it if you don't need it. There's no difference. He said that he walked to the store. He said he walked to the store. He told me that he walked to the store. He told me he walked to the store. It doesn't change anything either way, so just remember you can say it, but you don't need it. The last thing is modal verbs with reported speech. We change modal verbs to the past as well. So I have talked a lot about modal verbs in this intermediate lesson. I have said many, many things about modal verbs. So I just remember that they come in kind of pairs of two. So, we have can and could, may and might, not this one, will and would, shall and should. So for modal verbs where they match together, you will change one to the other from the present to the past. So, can becomes could, may becomes might, must becomes had to. But the past tense form, so there's not another after. So I can say can, He said that or I can walk to the store. He said that he could walk to the store. Um, but there's no other form. There's no additional could. There's nothing to change into. So could, might, should, would, these all do not change for reported speech because we cannot take them into the past. They are past already, so we cannot change. So, if my friend here says, I should walk to the store, I report, oh, he said that he should walk to the store. We don't change anything because there's not another thing after should. Shall becomes should. Should is the end. No more change, so we just keep it the same. So just remember, if the modal verb has a pair, can, could, will, would, may, might, do the change. But if it doesn't have a pair, or you're already in the past tense, no more change, just use it directly. I just wanted to say that to kind of clear that up a bit. But okay, that's all my information for reported speech. I know I went very quickly, and there's a lot of information here. So I really do recommend downloading the notes for this lesson. If you can access the platform and download the notes, they'll be very helpful for you in the future because you can have all of my slides here. All right, so let's try to practice these changes to reported speech. So as always, here are the notes, just to help you remember because I said a lot of information very quickly. So I'm going to show you a sentence. This is the direct sentence. I'm selling all of my toys. And this is something that my brother said. So now can you imagine, try to think, what is the reported speech for this sentence? My brother said this, and now I tell my mother the next day. Try to imagine, how do I report this sentence? So you'll always begin with the person, my brother. So we'll start with that, my brother, and then what? Have a think. So for each one, I'm going to pause for a moment to give you time to think. Try to guess the answer, and then I'll show the answer and we'll talk about it. So for this one, as the example, it's now, my brother said he was selling all of his old toys. Now we have I'm selling. We can take it one step back into the past, was selling, and then I need to say the person, my brother, and then I use say. I could say told. I could say my brother told me he was selling all of his toys. So that's always the same. No difference, say or tell, as long as you use transitive, intransitive correctly. So now I'll talk less. Let's look at number 2. That shirt doesn't look good. Yeah, my mother. My mother tells that to me very often. So have a moment, think. How do I report this sentence with my mother? How do you do it? What is the correct reported sentence? That shirt doesn't look good. Remember, you'll always start with the person, so it always starts my mother. Okay, let's see if you have the answer. So the reported speech, my mother told me, or said, my mother told me, my shirt didn't look good. So now we have the change. So I start with the person, I add say or tell, and then I change to the past tense. Present tense doesn't becomes didn't look good. Okay, next question. When are you going to Rome? Alex. So Alex asked me this question. So now, how do we make the change? We've got a question this time, so you must remember your question rules. And as always, we'll start with Alex. So Alex said, Alex told me. Or, oh, sorry, am I correct? Not said or tell. We've got a question. All right, so let's see. Alex asked when I was going to Rome. So as I made the mistake. It's ask, not tell, because we have a question, so we need asked. So Alex asked when I was going to Rome. So now I take the question directly, and then I just undo the change from I was or are you to I was. We have are, so we make it past with was, change my pronoun you to I, and undo the change. So Alex asked when I was going to Rome. You can say me. You can say Alice asked me. Alex asked. That is difficult. Alex asked me when I was going to Rome, or without, that's no difference. So let's try the next one. Question from the server. A server is a synonym for waiter or waitress. So waiter is boy, waitress is girl. We can ignore that, and you can say server for all, boy, girl, whatever. Not boy, not girl. It's easier. You can just say server. So, did you enjoy your meal? The server. So, as always, we start with the server, but we have a question. Yeah, so now what do we do? Have a moment, think. What do we do? All right, let's check. Maybe you have your answer. So the reported speech is, the server asked if I had enjoyed my meal. So we always have to change the pronouns. So I start with the server, and then I add asked because it's a question. But there's no question word. We have did. So no when, no what, no why. We have did, so I have to add if. The server asked if I had enjoyed my meal, because we have to go from the past, did, to the past perfect, had enjoyed, and then your becomes my, because we always are changing pronouns when we report, always have to change it. But yeah, the server asked if I had enjoyed my meal. Okay, here's the final practice, number 5. I haven't seen Grandma all year. And so now, this is me speaking to my mother on the phone right now. So yeah, so this is me speaking, and I am reporting what, I guess my mother is reporting what I said right now, just this moment. So it's happening right now. I'm talking to my mother on my phone, and my mother picks up the phone and says, oh. So it's happening right now. That's the trick here. So what do we do? Have a moment, think about the answer. Okay, have you thought? Do you have your idea? So let's check. My sister said she hasn't seen her grandma all year. So, it can be me reporting, or my mother says, he said he hasn't seen his grandmother all year. But just note, this is now present tense. We keep this one the same because it's happening right now. So, my sister, me, whoever. And we need to keep it the same because it's happening right now. So, I'm talking on the phone. I haven't seen Grandma all year. My mother lifts up the phone. Oh, yeah, can you believe it? He says he hasn't seen Grandma all year because it's all happening right in the moment. So we keep everything the same. So, for these 4, we change to the past or the past perfect because it's all days later. This one we keep the same because it's right now. Okay, but that's it for the present perfect practice. I hope this, or present perfect, the reported speech practice. I hope this helps keep things, or helps show a little bit on how to do it, how to keep it clear. So let's now move on to some vocabulary for shopping. So I'm just going to talk about some common words for shopping locations. I have a shopping mall, a department store, an outlet, a shopping center, a shop, and a market, and a stall. So those are my 7 very common words you see to describe shopping locations. So I'm just going to talk about each of them and how they are different. So the first is a shopping mall. Well, a shopping mall is that huge building with many different stores. These are very, very common in the United States, and they have very big stores inside of them, and then they have a bunch of smaller stores all around. They're usually 1, 2, 3 floors. These are these huge shopping places. A department store is different because it's only one store. So a department store is one store, one company, but inside there are different departments. So maybe there's a clothing area, a food area, an area to buy appliances, maybe like a washing machine, a dishwasher, an area to for maybe car equipment, an area for clothes, like for sewing and cloth. So it's just one big store with smaller sections, but it's one company. Whereas a shopping mall is different companies inside the one building. Next is an outlet. This is a special store. It's a special category. And so if you have a clothing store, and then maybe at the end of summer, they have a lot of bathing suits. They have a lot of bikinis, a lot of swimming trunks, but they did not sell. Well, that store will then give it to an outlet, and the outlet will sell it for a reduced price. And usually it is things that are not popular right at the moment, so they're selling them at a reduced price to try to clear them out. So that's an outlet. The main store sells the popular clothes. What the main store does not sell, they give to the outlet to sell at a reduced price. Next, we have shopping center. This is a more general word, and it just means any kind of area. It can be a street, a building, a collection of buildings, just a specialty area for shopping. It's very general. Almost anything can be a shopping center as long as it has more than one part. If it only is one part, one building, we just say a shop. That's an individual small store. So if you have 3, 4, 5 shops together, you can say a shopping center as kind of an overall word. After that, we have a market. This is the traditional place for shopping. These usually happen on streets, or in very large open buildings. We'll have a market, and they sell anything can be sold in a market. Usually food, but really anything. And then inside the market, the individual seller and the individual area is called a stall. So I have a picture to help show this. So like this is an example of what we would call a market. And then the individual area here where it sells fruit or vegetables would be a stall. So inside a market, you have one stall, and all of the stalls together make the whole market. So that's kind of how it works. So I'll just quickly say all of these again for pronunciation. So a shopping mall, department store, outlet, shopping center, shop, market, and stall. All right. So I just have a few more words to talk about, and these are words for making types of purchases. So I have a bargain, a deal, a discount, on offer or sale, a receipt, a refund, to take something back, and too steep or too much. So the definitions, what do these mean? Well, the first one, a bargain or a deal, they're the same idea, synonyms. It's when you buy something you believe costs more money. So if you say, oh, I got a bargain or I got a deal, usually we use verb got or get. Oh, I got a bargain, meaning I bought this for less money than I believe it is worth. So maybe with a car or with a house, you talk with the person and you get them to lower the price, and then you got a bargain. You got it for less money. A discount, on the other hand, is when the shop itself sells it at a lower price. So you don't necessarily, get it down to a lower price. It is sold at that special price. And this has many forms. You can say, I got a discount, or the shirt or the house was on offer or it was on sale. We'll use all of these words to describe when something is sold at kind of a special lower price. So receipt, this is just the paper you receive that proves you purchase it. You have many, many receipts. A refund, this is when you receive the money back. So you have your object, you don't like it for any reason. I don't like this, so I give it back to the shop and they give me my money. That's called a refund. To take something back, that's the expression of when the action of making a refund. So if I take something back, I am going for a refund. I want my refund, so I take it back. And then if something is too expensive, you don't want to purchase it, it's too expensive, you can use these two phrases to describe it. You can say, oh, it's too steep. Steep meaning like a hill. So, a hill goes up and down. The sides are steep when they are very high angle. So we say, oh, it's too steep. I don't want to pay for that. Or you can just say, oh, it's too much. I don't want to pay for that. They're either way. So, for example, these might be what we say for a discount. So these clothes are on offer. They are on sale. They have a discount for 30%, 50%, 20%, whatever. 20% off. We'll use preposition off. So we use these a little bit differently. So you would say these are on offer, these are on sale, or I got a discount. So we'll use different verbs, but it's the same idea. Okay, so that's everything for today. I know we covered a lot of information and we went very fast. So don't worry if things are a little unclear. As I said, you can always download my PowerPoint. You can have my notes. That way you can read everything again and review and revise if you feel you need it. And as always, if you want additional practice, there's lots of additional practice you can find on the internet, especially for reported speech. So I'm just going to review everything quickly again. Grammar, reported speech, just the steps. Remember, add say or add tell in the past tense, so said or told. And then change the verb in the original sentence one step back in the past. Present to past perfect, present perfect, past perfect. Always make that one step. And if it's a question, add if or whether if it doesn't have a WH word. If it has a WH word, all you need to do is undo the question. And always remember, change your pronouns. I becomes he or she, you becomes I. Always change your pronouns. So, and don't forget your time and location phrases. Tomorrow becomes next day, here becomes there, this becomes that. Those kinds of examples. There are more, but those are just kind of the examples I have. In addition to that, we talked about shopping vocabulary to describe different shopping places and different types of purchases. Okay. Well, thank you all so much for coming back for another episode. I hope you will come back again for the next episode in this intermediate series. I hope you learned something new and I could help you understand something new today. As always, thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you again in the future. Have a very good afternoon. Bye-bye.